Hey, we're going to get started shortly. We have some people just popping on. So we're going to wait a couple of minutes and we'll get started. Okay, folks, it's 2 after 7. So I'm going to get started for the folks that are here. I'm going to give you a quick shot of me. Hi, my name is Michael Benson, and I'm the founder of Love Vision Inc. and cyberumbrella.org. And I'm going to come back on at the end and talk to you guys a little more, but you're here for the webinar. So let me not be a distraction. Let's go head back to our slides. What I'm going to ask everybody to do is please grab a piece of paper and a pencil, something to write with. Hopefully, I'm going to give you some information that is good and you can jot down a couple of notes. And, whenever I get started in a webinar like this, I like to ask the question, or maybe you're asking this question, what the heck do I care what you got to say? Like, what makes you the expert, Mike? Well, one of the things that I learned a long time ago in public speaking or doing a webinar is tell them what you're going to tell them, and tell them what you told them. And that's really what I'm going to do tonight. And so I'm going to tell you tonight, we're going to cover the 5 biggest mistakes out there. Possibly you're looking to get cyber insurance, what those mistakes could be. If you already have cyber insurance, why you could get denied for a claim. But we're going to go beyond that. We're going to talk about some of the FTC rulings tonight that have changed in certain industries, and also some of the things if you're in healthcare, HIPAA, and some of the rulings that have been out there, and how this all comes together for you and your business or your influence of why this is so important right now. So the other thing I want to tell you is, you ever hear people say, "Oh, he's an alarmist," and it sounds like a negative thing. Well, I'm going to tell you, I am an alarmist. I'm out there ringing the bell. I have a microphone. I believe that we are at war, and we are trying to wake people up. We're trying to educate as many people as we can, and this is going on. It's increasing. If you've seen our video, the FBI is sending out warnings, and a lot of people are sleepwalking. So why do you care what I have to say? It's not just me. It's who's behind Cyber Umbrella. We have partnered with Telco United Cyber. We're going to talk a little bit about them today. And I don't want to offend anybody here if you happen to be an IT person or you have an IT. I want to start by explaining the difference. And maybe if you're in healthcare, you really get this analogy. You go to a general practitioner. He knows a lot about a lot of things. But what happens is he discovers a lump. and he's going to send you to in IT, maybe an MSP, a managed service provider. They're more apt to be a little more organized than just maybe you have that IT guy who you got a guy named Brian and you call Brian and Brian comes out. Every time your computer doesn't work, you can get Brian on the phone, he can fix it. But the MSP, he's a managed service provider. He's got other clients. He's handling you. You're paying him a monthly fee and you trust him and you are relying on him, right? But when you go to that doctor and he says, hey, you know, you got this lump, and you wind up going to the guy who's going to do the MRI for the lump, he says, oh my gosh, this is a special, lymphoma, right? We're going to send you to an SME, and an SME is a subject matter expert. And in this industry, that's an MSSP, a managed service security provider. And then the last acronym on here is AI. And the reason why I want to talk about MSSP is because that's who backs us. We want to be with the security provider. We want to be with the guy who was on a webinar just last week to find out why did AT&T get hacked and what's going on. Because although we're all excited about AI and we can go out there and we can get our advertising moving now and write an ebook really fast, guess what? Those guys that have been sending ads out every time you say gas can 3 times and an ad shows up in your Facebook and you're like laughing about it. Well, you're like, hey, they're listening to us. Well, now the bad actors, they're using that technology. They're using AI. And if they stumble across your business, you're doomed. You are doomed if you're not combating them with AI back. And our third-party assessments that we do, we're involved with a company that did hundreds of millions of dollars last year. Actually, I heard the figure that they're $1 billion organization. And I've been in meetings with the team that have done over 2,200 assessments. And we're not talking about self-assessments. We're really talking about going in and letting people know, hey, your window's open and you're running the air, right? And the stories we're hearing are scary. When someone's not just sending a fake email, but's in your system for 8 months and you don't even know it, and then they take over your email and send an email from you with a directive that causes major harm to your business. And so that's why. The other thing is, in any seminar and so forth, it's like, this is what you're going to learn tonight. But they all say, hey, Mike, you got to tell them, your background. Why are you doing this? And I want to say this very humbly to you, because I am that alarmist and I'm on a mission. And you may be here for very different reasons on why I'm doing this. So I'm going to share with you a little bit about, my story on why I'm doing this. See, I was the youngest baby in the world to have glaucoma surgery in 1961. They told me I'd be blind by, at 16, I had both my eyes operated on. They told me I'd be blind by 30. And I said the words, I'm going to kill myself if I go blind. And by 21, I had a major experience. I consider myself an overcomer. I've been speaking to the lives of others for, 40 years. And this is me speaking in front of the National Federation of the Blind. I went on and started a nonprofit in 2014. And, hey, there's been great accolades. I can do a whole 3 hours on the stuff we've done. But just to, to let you know, I've lived this amazing, sighted and blessed life. I still have vision in my one eye. I started taking young adults going blind on visual wishes. And between business and charity has all been volunteer. But I wound up on ABC World News. You can see in the Grand Canyon, I was filmed doing my thing. I started the very first blind surfing events where I would take blind people surfing. We're doing our 9th annual this August in Long Branch, New Jersey. We send a message worldwide to those being diagnosed. If you lose your vision, your life's not over. And then I was nominated by this little girl's mom. It's a dark picture. You can kind of make me out here. This little girl wrote us a letter. And man, I can't believe I got to do this, but we raised money and took this little girl to Epcot to see the fireworks while she still had vision before she lost her vision. And her mom nominated us for CNN Heroes. And so we have combined our charity life with, what drove me in my business life. I started in my 20s. Some of you guys that are old enough, you'll remember the yellow pages. And I called on thousands of businesses. I was an account executive, a President's Club winner, and a trainer for Bella, Pennsylvania Yellow Pages. That was a great career that I was in. The local sub shop in South Philly to the vice president of 7-Up, recommending different plans and finding out the different problems. And I went on to be an international business consultant. Here I am in China, when you could actually go there and do our thing. And I helped companies become ISO certified. And then in 2017, I finally combined my charity life and my business life. I raised funds. This is just one of the magazines. We were written up in New York City. There I am in the middle. And we built a platform called Be Causes. And it was like Amazon Smile meets Groupon, where a restaurant could put up an offer and the consumer could pick the cause. And we're riding the cause marketing wave, where everybody's like, hey, it's my birthday, donate to our charity. We found that raising money was very difficult, and we wanted businesses to be able to say yes to every charity. Unfortunately, COVID destroyed that business, because in 2020, all the restaurants that we were working with shut down, and I found myself back consulting, which wound up bringing me back to where we are today. So one of the things that I want to tell you, and I spend these first 10 minutes establishing this foundation, is because our goal is to help protect 5 million people in the next 12 to 18 months. And you go, Mike, 5 million people, how are you going to do that? Well, you're here to protect your business. I'm here to, knowing that the FBI has put out a warning. It's increasing by 300%. They're going after small businesses now. They want to get into your database because they want to get in every single person's system. And if I help you and you have a database of 5,000 people, I can add that to our account. If I was able to work with AT&T, I might have helped protect 72 million people. And so we're going out there. We have a $2 million grant. We consider Cyber Umbrella, we consider ourselves a modern day Paul Revere. And we're not yelling the British are coming. We're yelling the cyber attack is coming. The cyber attack is coming. And it's not if, it's when. Okay. So now you might be saying, hey, this is really great. I wanted to hear about insurance. And, I don't really need ransomware insurance. I'm just, a small business. I never see small businesses in the news. That's right. You don't, because it's not news and it's happening every day. And you're just going to have to take my word for it. Hopefully you get something out of this. And we're going to give a great offer. If you stay to the end, we have something worth thousands of dollars we're going to give you as that you can utilize for your business to get protected. And hopefully we're not too late and they're not already there, because they are going after the small businesses. They want to get in every single database and they want to impact. And I can tell you some stories that's happening. So we never see the small businesses, but because I've been on so many of these calls, I want to talk about one that we put in the slide deck here, which is a small law firm. And not only is it a small law firm, we're going to call it a micro law firm. 2 computers. That's it. 2 computers. And they got held ransom and they were down for 7 days. They were in there for 8 months. Basically, they found out through the FBI, 8 months they were there. They knew what their payroll was and they knew when money was coming in. And you might be thinking like, oh, well, if I get hacked, maybe I'm just going to wind up going out of business. But the scary thing about this was they just got a $38,000 payday that came in, and the ransom was $38,000. I mean, they're in there, they know. So think about, and A lot of companies are down more than 7 days. This company was not able to get into their cloud and their backups. These guys are getting really smart. You're like, whoa, all my stuff is the cloud. But they're going in there now and they're waiting and watching. As you go on and you learn about this, they're stealing hashes. They're able to get around the passcodes. They're stealing Microsoft tokens, and they're able to get into clouds as well. It's very scary what's happening. So it doesn't matter if you're a small business, a big business, your business is in the cloud. All businesses are being held, and they have to pay the ransom once their stuff is encrypted. And that's really what's going on. And so that's what brought us to this, because we also are looking at how many, what's going on in the insurance industry. So you're saying, okay, well, I have, ransom insurance, or I can get ransom insurance. But there is a problem with what's going on with that. And or maybe you think you have ransom insurance, but your business interruption insurance does not cover cyber attacks. You need a separate policy. So maybe we just brought that awareness to those that are on here tonight, where you're thinking like, well, hey, I got business insurance. Nope, doesn't get covered. And then if you've been paying for cyber insurance, guess what? Insurance companies absolutely hate. What do they hate? Paying ransom. And they're accessing networks and they're denying claims. Since 2020, the claim denials have gone up 300% because there were so many claims, and we're gonna expose why in a second. What we want to say is that not only has the claims gone up, the insurance policies have gone up, and the coverage has gone down. So the goal is to keep your policy down. Now, last week, actually, we had someone in the insurance industry on here. I want to make it clear, we're not selling insurance. There's regulations in there right now. I mean, if you came to me, I don't even have anyone I'm going to refer to you at this point. We have some people knocking at our doors. Hey, can you refer some people from your webinars to our insurance company? So that's not the game here. What we want to do is, if you do go out, or you do have, we want to let you know, how do you get the best policy rates is to be prepared before you get the policy. And how do you get it once you have a policy? How do you get paid? This is really good information. The problem in the industry, and we're watching the change, and they're talking about it, is they've been letting companies do self-assessment questionnaires to get the policy. And guess what? Buyers are liars. The questions are not only I've been on some of these calls where Telco United Cyber is going through questions just to do the grant, and they're like, hey, do you have this? And the person's like, I'm not sure. Yeah, I think we got that. And that doesn't fly, because once an attack happens, if you don't have certain things, and we're going to go over the 5 biggest mistakes right now, if you don't have these things documented, they're denying your claim. So the people that are answering these questions, if it's not you and you're trusting someone else, maybe you don't want to do a self-assessment. You want to make sure you have accurate answers on all of these questions. But let's talk about the 5. Do you have multi-factor authentication, MFA, backups, up-to-date active virus, breach response plan, up-to-date active firewall? Well, we're gonna let you know, like, you may say, oh, yeah, I have all that stuff, but just know this. If you don't, and you say you do, or someone says you do, and by the way, there's 70 other questions, right? That's like an insurance company asking you if you smoke, and you say no, and you're smoking 3 packs a day, and then you get lung cancer. Guess what? They're not covering you. That's the bottom line. And so we want to make sure that things are really accurate. And this is why I asked you to get a paper and a pencil, because I'm going to actually go over some of these with you, these questions that I talked about. And we're going to give an easy way for you, very simple, for you to test your system, go back and check if you have these 5 things, so you get some value out of tonight. And here we go. Do you have that multi-factor authentication for email sensitive information? Here's how you know. Are you prompted? Are all of your people prompted every time they get an email, or if they're going to sensitive information? And some of you say, yeah, I get an email, I get a text, I got to put a code in. We're all familiar with that, especially if you forget your passwords today, or possibly you have an app on your phone that the code is changing every 30 seconds. A lot of banks are doing this now. You have to log in, you go in, and that code will expire every 30 seconds, and you're tied into that program. The scary thing is AI are cracking some of these right now. So that's some of the things that you'll learn if you move on and get our grant. The next one is, do you test your backups? And sure, yeah, we test our backups. I'm going to go one step further. Do you have a log? As the owner of the company, are you logging this, that if you got breached, that you could be able to hand over a notebook? Just like, hey, I come from, by the way, when I was in China, I was helping companies become ISO certified. It was all about documentation, right? Yes, we're testing it. It should be done at least every 30 days. Hey, we were backing up. Hey, this is what we recovered on this test. This is how long it recovered. It doesn't matter if you have issues. It matters how did you fix those issues and what you're doing to stop the issues in the future. That's what's being looked at, okay? Certainly for ISO. This is real easy for you to check. You can check right now on the computer you're on. 20% of the networks have missing antivirus. What does that mean? Well, if you're on here and your team has 10 computers, 20 computers, 50 computers, we have found on an average 20% have Windows open. And all you have to do is roll your mouse to the bottom right-hand corner of your computer, and you'll see if you have antivirus or some kind of protection. You should see little icons there, and it'll let you know if they're active or not active. So there's 3 things right away that you can do. You know, you have the multi-factor authentication. You already know, hey, yeah, we got that. I know that. I got to press a code every time. Or, hey, we don't have that. Hey, I'm going to get on my team, make sure I have a log book every single month, and we're recording all of our backups, and we're going to make sure all our antivirus is up to date. Guess what? If you're going for insurance, you want to have these things in place. If you already have insurance and these are not in place, they're going to deny your claim. So let's go to the next one here. As the owner, you are responsible to have a breach response plan, a written breach response plan somewhere at your fingertips. And if you're in healthcare, you need it. If you're in mortgages, you need it. CPA, you need it. Car dealer, you need it. Does the owner have it? Or is it in some tech's hands? And if you don't have it, why? Why don't you have it? In that case, the FBI is not going to talk to these other people. They're going to come to you. The insurance company's coming to you. They want to know, what steps are you taking to isolate and contain the scenario to limit the risk, to limit the damages. And if you don't have that in place and you're not taking those steps, your claim will get denied. Okay. And then the last one I'm going to cover here is, are you paying for a subscription like antivirus? And this is really easy. Okay. In the last 2 years, oh my gosh, you how information has doubled, like we go, from 1950 to 1975, from 1975 to 1985, information's moving in the last 2 years, really in the last 6 months. If you're not paying for a subscription, just like antivirus on your firewall, then you're in trouble, because you're not up to date with these AI hacks. You have to fight AI with AI. And so make sure you have a subscription, that your firewall is being updated on a regular basis. And because it is serious stuff now. And again, I'm the alarmist, I'm ringing the bell. So hopefully that's some really good information so far for you. Now, I kind of already went through that. You can check all of these yourself. I'm kind of ahead of my slide and how you can figure this out very, very easily. Now, your IT people, you have IT people, and you say, look, hey, I'm a dentist, I'm a CPA, I'm a car dealer, I'm a, whatever you are, right? You go, I got IT people that do this, and that is fine. That's why I pointed out the IT, the MSP, the MSSP. It's always good to have a third party organization time to time to keep people honest. Do not bet your farm on your own IT people proofreading their own work. Hey, I had a scenario when we got started with this, and we went to an accountant with 1,000 clients, 12 computers. He had double firewall and Defender software and an IT guy. And I asked him the question that we're going to ask you later. Do you believe you're 100% secure? He said, absolutely, we're 100% secure. But some of the things I'm going to show you later, based on FTC ruling, he knows he needs to get a risk assessment done every year now, or he can be fined by the FTC. And so we had a grant for him. And I know this fella. When we first got started, I went to him and I said, hey, you know what? I have one of these. It's worth thousands of dollars. Instead of you paying for it, I'm going to go ahead and grant it to you. There's no obligation for you to do business with, Telco United. You're going to get a report. And we can go over some of the things, just to really make sure. He goes, okay, let's do it. And so he did his vetting. He wanted to say, well, who are you letting into my system? People want to know that. He vetted, the third party. He was fine with it. Folks, we went in and we were able to get social security numbers. We were able to get his Microsoft token. It was bad. And, he is now 100% protected with layers of protection. And we'll talk about that later at a very, very affordable, less than you can pay someone to wash dishes, a week. So, you might be relying on the IT people. We're not putting IT people down. They're good, but they cannot proofread their own work. And if you're on here in your IT, there's two types of guys. One guy is an egotistical guy that says, I got this, I know everything. And the other guy is a humble guy that says, hey, I don't know everything. And we would love to have an MSSP work with our team, because the goal is protecting you financially. Our goal is to protect your client base, your database, and Americans, because we are at war, right? So one of the things that we're going to do, and I have a little more to go over with you. We're going to take a few more minutes. I want to go into some of the FTC things, but we're going to give away a third-party cyber insurance readiness assessment. And you can go, and I don't want you to go there yet because I have a special offer for you, but at cyberumbrella.org/insurance, you're going to need a code number. I'm going to give you that code number at the end of this webinar, and we're going to give you actually a penetration test and report for you to get all of these questions answered. And if you go ahead and Google what a pen test costs, they run, depending on how many computers you have, they run anywhere from $5,000 to $50,000, depending on the size of your organization, to go out and get pen tested. So this is a tremendous value that we're offering to all of you that showed up tonight. Now, let's talk about if you on this webinar are on the FTC safeguard rules, because they're going beyond the banking, right? If you're here about HIPAA, we're going to address that as well, but you've been on the list for a while. This is the new list. And, I highlighted some blue. I suggest you go to ftc.gov, or if you engage with us, we can get you some documents to really read into this. But a retailer that extends credit by issuing its own credit. It goes through the list, but I highlighted auto dealerships, accountants, tax preparation services, real estate, settlement, mortgage brokers, and any company acting as a finder to bring together one or more buyers and sellers of any product or service for transaction that parties themselves negotiate and consummate. Okay, so you can look into this, but the scary thing about this now is the FTC is saying if you're on this list, you quickly need to do the following. Now, I highlighted the first thing on the list: conduct an initial risk assessment to identify internal and external risks to the security, confidential, and integrity to the customer information. This is the FTC. They're saying to do a risk assessment. Now, you know what's getting the insurance companies in trouble is they were allowing you to do a self-risk assessment. You're going to have your IT company do your own risk assessment? No, right? You want to do a third-party risk assessment. And then they go on to say they want you to develop, implement, and maintain a comprehensive written information security program based on this risk assessment. And I'm just going to highlight a few things in this webinar. We could do a webinar just on the FTC rules for you guys if you wanted that. This is very interesting because when they came out, they changed one thing, they edited. And the interesting thing, it just makes our point that we are really providing a tremendous service. In Rule 314.4, in the ruling of the FTC, they changed the verbiage. They came out originally and said that you needed to design and implement a safeguard, implement to control the risks you identify through the risk assessment. So they want you to do a risk assessment and then design and implement the safeguard controls. They changed the final rule and they added the word must. A financial institution must design and implement the safeguard and controls the risks you identify through the risk assessment. So if I go back to my ISO background, they're going to go back and look at your risk assessment and then look at the plan that you put in place based on what you found in your risk assessment. And if you're missing stuff doing self-assessment with just your IT company, you could get fined. Let's talk about what those fines are. What are the penalties? Failure to comply with the FTC safeguard rules right now are $100,000 per violation. And you say, well, they're not coming after me. Well, guess what? They've postponed it and postponed it. And the ruling now becomes effective. The fines start coming out next month, May 13th, 2024. I don't know about you, but the regulations that are coming down, the warnings are out there as hackers continue to hack and people don't upgrade themselves to deal with these AI issues, and they're ignoring it thinking, well, it's like an AIDS test. I don't want to know if I have it because then I'm going to have to spend money. It's going to cost you a lot of money. And if we have any dentists on this call, hey, all of us wish we did preventive care before we needed the root canal, right? And that's exactly what we're saying right here tonight, okay? So we got a few more to go through here because I do want to address those that are in healthcare that are here today. What are the HIPAA security requirements? This is been in place, and I don't know if they're going to start coming out and they added businesses if they're going to start heavily fining this May, you guys as well. But guess what? The first rule requirement, a risk analysis, is the first step. They all want you to do that risk analysis. And then what they're saying is an evaluation and impact the risks. They want you to implement, document, and put a reasonable and necessary security protection in place. Based on what? Your risk analysis. Who is doing your risk analysis? That is the question. Okay. So we're going to come back and I'm going to ask you now, after getting this information, just like I asked my CPA friend, are you 100% sure that you're completely protected? And if you are, that's great. I suggest that you go ahead and take advantage of this anyway and double make sure, because it's not about you. It's about those Americans in your database. I happen to be involved with my gal's company got hacked for $10 million. She's the CFO, or was. She's retired now, a very big company. And 3 years ago, they got hacked. And you know what their penalty was? They had to get LifeLock for all their vendors, all their past employees, all their past customers. It cost them probably $250,000 to get back up. And a lot of information went to the dark web. 1 year of protection. 1 year of protection is all they're required at this particular point. Do you think 2 years later, when someone, true story, walks in the bank with a copy of someone's driver's license with their photo on it, they snagged this guy because it was the president of the company and he walked into his bank and they just happened to catch him. The idiot criminal walked into the wrong bank and they knew the guy, and he said, and they called him and said, we have a guy here with your license and his photo, and they nabbed the guy. But it was 2 years later. Guess what? What happened if he opened a bank account? Now he has a driver's license. He's got a bank account. He goes and gets a social security card. He starts taking loans out in that person's name, and LifeLock is already expired. That company is liable. You're liable for lawsuits if they could pin this down to your breach, especially if you knew that you did some self-risk assessment or you didn't have cyber insurance and you're opening yourself. In consulting, when I was an international business consultant, we called this leakage, right? We always talked about, hey, things are going really well. Our business is really growing. And then, well, boom. Well, none of us could control COVID. COVID hit. It blindsided us all, right? Well, this is something that you can control. And I'm telling you, the wave is coming. So if you wind up taking advantage of the risk assessment, will you have to get your IT department involved? Now, I'm going to dance around this very carefully because you can. Like, if you got a great, you want to get your IT department involved, we're not telling you that you can't. The only thing that I say is this: the hacker out there is not calling them up saying we're coming tomorrow. And I really do believe that you should go ahead, because you can do this sight unseen. A hacker's not calling up your IT department and saying we're coming. And so we're not going to need any administrative credentials or Telco United. You get our grant. If you get approved by us, we forward your name over to the third-party risk assessment, and we approve you, and it's going to be absolutely free for you to get this risk assessment. And there's nothing that needs to be installed. They run a program, but there's nothing installed in your computer. And what happens is they're going to analyze, our subject matter expert, MSSP partner, will analyze your network. Then they're going to meet with you and review the results in a report. And they're going to give you simple steps that you can take to protect you and your data. And that's it. If you come through the grant, they're mandated for the small business pricing we put together. If you want to work with them, you can, but there's no obligation to work with them. They're fantastic. So again, people, and I love this slide. By the way, I didn't put the slide in, but I love this slide. It's like, hey, what's the catch? Why are you doing this? Well, I'm going to do a little recall. Folks, I want to help you. I take blind people surfing. Everybody thinks I'm doing it for the blind people. Yeah, I'm giving them a nice day. But you know who I'm really doing it for? I'm doing it for 16-year-old Michael, who said I'm going to kill myself if I go blind. That's who I'm doing it for. I want to send a message that you're going to be okay if you lose your vision. And we're doing this to protect your vendors, to protect your consumers. And by the way, you want to get your vendors to get one of our grants, because some companies now, who are your vendors secure? Are you letting the cat in the middle of the night, right? By some of these vendors. And a lot of auto dealerships out there, they want to make sure vendors are secure, or they're not even going to do business with you. So if you know other vendors, have them go to our cyberumbrella.org. So I'm going to end this now, guys. Here it is, right? If you were invited by someone here tonight, possibly they've already joined what I call our cyber defense force, right? I wasn't able. One of the things that I got to tell you that still bothers me was in my early 20s, I wanted to join the service and they wouldn't let me join. I was 4F because I had glaucoma and I have felt powerless. And I really am one of those guys. I'm a patriot. I see what's happening. And it's like, but I'm not powerless. And so, with my skill sets, understanding the cyber war and being an entrepreneur and a business guy and an international consultant, I'm building a force of people that want to go out, share this message, and we'll actually set you up with a code and give you 5 grants to go out and give out to other people. And if someone invited you and you have a code, when you go to cyberumbrella.org/insurance, use that code and your form will go through. The form will not go through without a code. If you are here tonight and you don't have a code and you want to get a third-party risk assessment, we like to do this by using the code CyberU23W2. CyberU23W2. That would be the code for tonight. So, guys, I hope that I gave you some information that you can use. And I hope it was uplifting. I know it could be a Debbie Downer. I am that alarmist. I'm seeing things I don't even want to know. My biggest prayer is that we're not too late. There was a movie that came out, Leave This World Behind, where every computer, it just came out with Julia Roberts. It's on Netflix. Go watch it. I grew up, and in 1999, I went to a church in Toms River, New Jersey, and we were saving water, food, medicine, and some people bullets, because they said if Y2K was real, and it wasn't, and every system went down 24 years ago, we tipped the enemy off. All they got to do is shut all the computers down, and we'll be fighting each other for food and medicine. And we're moving that way. So we're fighting against that, ringing the bell. The cyber attack's coming. Please spread the message. And we'll be doing more of these different topics. And hopefully we can get you secure. And hopefully that this was a good webinar for you to come to tonight. So thank everybody for coming. And hopefully you got something out of tonight. Thank you. God bless and good night.